What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington, and I'm here with my review for Extraction on Netflix. Now, if you have not seen this movie yet, come on back because I'm going to have some spoilers because there's no other way you got to do this joint. Yo, first and foremost, I know I should have been watched this movie. I've seen a lot of people on social media talking about it, and the fact that it has a sequel set to come out soon will be developed. And I was like, all right. And of course, when you're in these situations like many of us are, sitting in the house during these self-quarantine and self-imposed and lockdown, stay-at-home days, you find yourself going through a lot of the streaming apps and like, all right, what do I want to watch? And then you find something that goes, well, I've heard a lot about this, and so let me take a couple hours, I ain't doing nothing else, to go ahead and watch it. And I decided to put on Extraction, and let me tell you, I do not regret it at all. This shit is nonstop action beginning to end. And I think that's what exactly when Joe Russo wrote it, what they were going for. I saw a lot of the IMDb scores, the Metacritic, and the Rotten Tomatoes scores, and they didn't so much agree with it. You know, the Rotten Tomatoes score is at a 68%. And of course, maybe people were expecting something else. That is always one thing. You can see a trailer and it's high packed full of energy, and then you could think, well, we might only get a few energetic, high action, high octane scenes, and then we don't get the rest, but then you do, or vice versa. But whatever the case, some people didn't agree with it, just like some people won't agree with this review, and that's totally fine. It's totally in your regard, in your will, in your ability, and your right to do so. You know what I'm saying? I really love the fact that when Chris Hemsworth steps out of a role that we know him for, he steps out of it and it's a whole new character. To see him as Tyler Rake, the Black Ops mercenary, the Australian mercenary he is, it's not Thor. It's not from the guy from Men in Black International, because I didn't see it. It's not the Huntsman from Snow White and the Huntsman or anything else. This is a different character, different take. And the level of range and emotion you get out of him is phenomenal in this, because you see a mercenary who's been beaten up and who's, you know, it starts out, you see him beaten up and you're like, oh, this is what he goes through. And you see him getting pulled back into something to help save a gangster's child. And again, a gangster's kid. And I know a lot of people are like, yo, why would he save a gangster's kid, a well-known drug lord's kid? Well, because he's a mercenary. Mercs work for money. That's what they do. They work for money. And to see what he goes through, to watch the relationship with Ovi, the kid he has to save, played by, I have the names over here, played by Rudikash Jaswal. I hope I'm not completely butchering the names. The names are, these are a lot of great talented Indian actors. Like, let me tell you something. A lot of people in America don't understand other films' cultures. It's just what it is. A lot of people don't understand South Korean film culture because, of course, they just may have gotten introduced to it through Parasite. A lot of people don't understand French cinema, Italian cinema, Bollywood, and so on and so forth. And a lot of these actors that you see, if they are not already established Indian actor, Bollywood, or whatever the case you may be, stars, they for sure will be after this, because the performances they give are what you look for. And again, to talk about a movie, you got to talk about it. I talk like the fact, Randeep Huda, who plays Sanju, to see how he's working for the gangster that at the same time hired Chris Hemsworth character, and then you find out he's a special forces dude that can kick ass. When you see the way he holds the gun, the shooting, you know, the maneuvering and the fighting techniques, you're like, damn. You know, some of it is, yes, the stunt choreography, and you know, some of it is a stunt person. But at the same time, you do have these actors who decide to take on some of this themselves. They want to show what they can do. They want to enhance their talent, enhance their careers, they want to have fun with it. They want to enhance their resumes. And to watch this, there's this epic car chase shootout scene. It's a one shot. And when it starts, it is non-stop. It is go, 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 from car crashes, the gun work, and like I said, the choreography of this is amazing. This has, to me, that John Wick shootout level of choreography. And I think we're going to continually get these higher up levels of gunfights. We're not going to get the typical just hide behind a car, boom, boom, hide behind a car, boom, boom, find a giant pillar to stand behind, pop, pop. You know, we're not going to get those. I think we're going to get these more intricate levels, shootout scenes. And again, this was one of them. It was done well. And It was supposed to be a one shot. Let me say it's supposed to be a one shot, but it does have a slight jump cut in it, a couple places, but it's nothing major. It doesn't take away from anything at all. To see that it is such a well done movie, to see the double crossing that happens in so many different situations. When you get the introduction to David Harbour's character as Gaspar, you're like, oh dude, he playing a cool ass version of himself. He's probably an ex Merc himself. And then to find out what he does, and again I told y'all, spoilers will happen. I can't keep just trying to avoid all the spoilers, so told you, if you hear him, deal with it. When you see how cool and how willing he is to help Tyler Rake, Chris Hemsworth character, when you hear Chris Hemsworth talk to Kit and tell her, like, yo, he owes me, to Nick, and he's like, yo, he owes me his life, and to see him help him out, and you think he's just going to directly help him out, to find out that he double crosses him because of the money, and because he actually is working for a Sith, like he's actually working for the other drug lord that's trying to kill the other so, yo, it's a battle of drug lords. It is literally a battle of drug lords. There's a drug lord in India, and I believe the other drug lord in Bangladesh, if I'm not mistaken, or Colombia, something like that. I can't remember directly. Please forgive me. But to watch the battle of drug lords, mercenaries being brought in the middle, and one mercenary showing heart because he doesn't want to turn the kid over. And then as you find out later on, his wife is gone. She just left his ass because he's been working. He's always been on tours, military tours, and serving his country, serving Australia. And then his son died of lymphoma. And so that haunts him. And to see the kid who basically his team was like, yo, let him go. It's a risk for you to keep him. You can lose your life. He like, no, I'm going to get the kid out safely. It's an interesting story to me. Like I said, there are people who do not think this story was that invoking. And it might not be. It's not the best of stories. But the story you get, the way it's shot, the way it's executed is so dope. When you see the fact that the drug lord, which is always a common trope, I think, drug lords always have the military and the police of those towns in their back pocket. That's a common trope. I just wish it wasn't that. I really wish, because it's always that he has an army. Yeah, the actual country's army. Like, why? Like, I get it. Money buys. Money buys things. Money allows power. But, yeah, we're just saying that all military can be bought and paid for. That's literally what that trope says. That with the simple amount of money, the military is easily bought. Now, yes, does that include the American military? Possibly. We've seen it happen in various films as well, but I think that's a trope that needs to probably die out. I get what you get. I get what they're giving you, shall I say. I'm trying to make sure I got my notes. There's a scene also, because I'm not going to go bit by bit. There's a scene where you have Tyler Rake, again, Chris Hemsworth's character. He's fighting these child soldiers. Like, these motherfuckers come in with guns and machetes. And yes, they're kids. And I think that's another issue people might have had with the film, because there's a part he is beating the shit out these kids, but he doesn't kill them. He might, drop a bike on one's leg so he can't do anything, slaps the dog shit out of another, knocks one unconscious. He doesn't kill him. And I know a lot of people thinking that may be going too far, but again, when you look in a lot of these different countries, what actually happens, you do have these child soldiers. You do have these young kids, sometimes 8, 9, preteens and whatnot, who are working for these drug lords and things like that, and working for these dictators and warlords even, and they are trained with, different type of assault weapons and, a machete. And so to see that actually happen and play out is a real thing. And then you get the main kid named Farhad, who wants to be the one, he wants to prove to Asif, the drug lord who's trying to kill the other drug lord's kid, he wants to prove that he can be a top soldier for him. He wants to prove that he can do what this guy wants him to do. So when he cuts his finger off as a gift, was like, yo, this is my gift to you. I'll tell you something, you can order that motherfucker something off Amazon if you want to get him a gift. You can go and get him a Bath and Body Works gift card so you can give somebody else. You can buy him a prostitute. I'm sure it's available. You ain't got to give him a finger, not your pinky. Like, you want your pinky to clean your ear out. You want your pinky eventually, if you decide to do cocaine yourself, you want your pinky, not give it to them as a gift. But I love the scene, the way they did it again with the child soldiers, because it respected the kids. It didn't just make you have them murder them, because that would have been even more reason people were like, oh my God, no. But it's the way a mercenary who understands you are kids, I am a grown man, handles it. Now, if you were a bunch of adults, y'all all getting murdered. Because, like, yo, the body count in this motherfucker is Total Recall level body count. It's a high body count. And you're like, okay, I got it. But there's also scenes where people are fighting in the streets. Matter of fact, it's Tyler Rake, and Saju. They're fighting in the street with knives and everything, and people are just going around conducting business as normal, which lets me know that in these streets, in Indian, certain Bangladeshi streets, you can go, is it Dharka? Yeah, in Dharka, in the streets of Dharka, you can go on and fight somebody, and people just like, well, let me go on and buy these fruits and vegetables over here. Let me go and get this from this trader and this merchant. But that's what they do, man. It ain't nothing but 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. They just out there trying to kill each other. Man, don't pay them no never mind. Somebody be dead in a few. Like, what? There's so much more. Well, there really isn't much more. Let me not say that. This movie is an action film. It's exactly what it is. It's an action film with an action star giving you a bit of heart, which those films need. You have a supporting cast. You have a movie that is set in multiple languages to allow you to expand your horizons in your mind. There are no Americans technically in it. Everyone we see is either Australian, British, Hindi, they're Indian, all these different cultures. You're like, okay, I get it. And I like it. It's something different. It's not what we're used to seeing. And so it doesn't have to play into what we think an action film in America should look like. We know what action films are going to look like. We know what we expect from them. But because of what is done, where it is shot at, how it's shot, the actors and everybody that are utilized, this is a dope film. If I had to give it a rating on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm giving it a 5. I'm not going to lie. There's numerous times in this movie I was like, damn! Like, there's times you see people just get randomly scoped in the head, and it comes out of nowhere. You see knife battles that are like, okay, this is how you would actually end somebody with a knife. You wouldn't just stab them one time in the gut and be gone. You would make sure you finish the job. And I know it might sound a little bit masochistic when I say that, but you're trying to think of a realistic way to show this, even though it is in a film, which is in a heightened sense of reality. You dig what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to say about this movie. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Let me know what you thought about it in those comments below. And like, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you can find out when I'm dropping more videos for y'all, all right? Make sure you check out some of my other reviews. I reviewed Hollywood, that's on Netflix, as well as Black AF on Netflix. And I do a Harley Quinn review with my boy Winston A. Marshall. Drops every single Friday right here on the channel. But follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. It's MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington because it's right down there. All right. Join my Patreon, my Supervillain Squad, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. I put a lot of different stuff up there that you won't get on the channel. My wrestling videos, stand-up clips, certain content that I don't even put on my podcast, which is the Mad Titan podcast, where I get you caught up on everything happening in the Marvel and DC live action cinematic universe. It is barbershop talk for nerds, so come on in the convo. If this is the first time you're introduced to me, you're like, yo, dude talks all over the place, can talk hella fast, crack a few jokes. What all does he do besides this? Well, I think I kind of told you. I'm a host on here. I review movies. I review TV shows. I'm a stand-up comedian, professional wrestler. I'm an actor, a dad, an illustrator, a dad, because you lose a lot of money with that. So those are things that I do, all right? I'll let you all later. Take care. I'm out here. Bye.